Why does God allow suffering? The atheist's biggest question. Have you ever wondered, if there is a God, why does he allow suffering? Why do we face diseases, disasters, and hardships? Isn't God supposed to be merciful? Wouldn't a truly loving creator prevent bad things from happening? This is one of the biggest arguments atheists make, that the existence of suffering disproves the existence of God. But is that really true? Let's break this down with logic, examples, and a perspective you might have never considered before. Misunderstanding the purpose of suffering. Imagine walking into an art gallery filled with masterpieces. A person who knows nothing about art might look at a famous painting and say, "This is just random strokes and messy lines. What's so special about it?" But an art expert would see the details, the depth, the meaning behind every brushstroke. Just because someone doesn't understand the art, does that mean there's no artist? Of course not. Similarly, when we see suffering, pain, or disasters in this world, we might not immediately understand why they exist. But does our lack of understanding mean there is no creator? No. Just because we don't see the purpose doesn't mean there isn't one. Is the world broken or perfectly designed? Now, let's look at it differently. A library is meant to be quiet, right? Imagine someone who doesn't like silence walks in and says, "This place is so dull and boring. There's no music, no talking. What a terrible design." But is it really bad design? Or is the quietness exactly how it's meant to be? Or imagine someone walks into a gym for the first time. They see people sweating, struggling, lifting heavy weights, exhausted. They might think, "What kind of torture chamber is this? Why are people willingly suffering?" But in reality, the gym is designed to build strength through struggle. Just like the library's silence is not a flaw, and the gym's intensity is not a punishment, this world's difficulties are not proof of God's absence. They are part of a greater plan. Why do we need hardships? Think about it. If there was no sickness, how would we recognize Allah as Al-Shafi, the healer? If there was no hunger, how would we appreciate Allah as Al-Razak, the provider? Without challenges, we wouldn't develop patience. Without tests, we wouldn't grow in faith. Without pain, we wouldn't turn to Allah for help. Just like a student must take exams to prove their knowledge, we must go through trials to prove our faith. Life's hardships are not punishments. They are opportunities. Opportunities to become stronger, wiser, and closer to Allah. The hidden mercy in difficulties. Let's take another example. A mother slaps her child's hand away from a burning stove. The child cries, feeling hurt. But was that slap an act of cruelty or an act of mercy? At that moment, the child doesn't understand. But later, they realize that slap saved them from something far worse. Similarly, sometimes Allah takes things away from us. Sometimes He puts us in difficult situations, not to harm us, but to protect us. Even when life feels unfair, even when things don't go our way, Allah always has a reason. And that reason is always good for us, whether we see it or not. Final thought. A shift in perspective. The biggest illusion is thinking that constant happiness is good for us. If life was always perfect, we would forget Allah. We would become arrogant, careless, and distant from our purpose. Sometimes, a hardship is the greatest blessing in disguise. It wakes us up. It reminds us of Allah. It brings us back to the path of guidance. So next time you face a challenge, ask yourself, is this really a problem or is it a hidden blessing? Because in the end, the best stories are the ones where the hero overcomes the hardest battles. And you are the hero of your own journey. Stay strong, stay guided, and always remember, Allah never burdens a soul beyond what it can bear.